Well, good evening, everyone. I know everybody's logging in, joining us here. We are streaming live to the Market America Facebook page, as well as we're live on Zoom here tonight. My name is Cullen Haskins. I'm director of the GMTSS, and I'm excited to be joined by the amazing Lisa Martin.
Hi, everyone.
who is the amazing head honcho with Motives. I don't know if the head honcho is the correct term there.
Sounds
Lisa,
good to me. Yeah, sure.
All things amazing with Motives, right? You guys have had a busy weekend with Motives, rocking and rolling.
Yeah, everything went great though. We had a great virtual summit. Hey, Carmen. Hi, Dot. Ooh, from Maine. I want to go to Maine this summer. It's such a pretty place in the summer.
That's it. And yeah, if you guys could type in where you're from, some of you guys are already doing that. That's awesome. We always love to see where everyone's from.
Yeah, they know the drill, right? Yeah. Hey, Pam. Pam was with us for the virtual summit, as was Carmen. Hey, Christine. Good to see you all. We're excited about tonight. This is, I think, one of the most important parts of our business, but it's actually kind of hard to teach, I think, don't you, Cullen? So
it can be a little challenging sometimes.
You almost have to experience it, but we're going to have fun tonight. We have a couple guests with us that are going to bring it to life, I think. So
I think so. The two guests we have on with us are equally as great at the topic we're going to be covering with you guys here this evening. So as you guys know, this is all about our Master on Franchise Owner training, along with our 53 challenge. So first of all, congratulations to each and every one of you who are committed to the 53 challenge and turning in your checklist, your accountability with your team on a weekly basis. If you're not on a team, I'd highly suggest that you join a team. This is all about teamwork, making the dream work, and each one of us lifting each other up, linking arms, no teammates left behind. But you got to reach out. You got to reach up, you got to reach across. We just got to, if we don't know, then if somebody's looking, but we don't know, Lisa, what are we going to do? I mean,
you have to advocate for yourself. Yes.
That's it. 100%. 100%. All right. Well, let me share my screen. Let's get right into it tonight. We got a lot to cover in a very short period of time. So the topic for this evening is follow up and building into the ABC pattern. All right. So it's about building your team with the ABC pattern. Lisa, can you see my slides? I just want to make sure those are
it's all
fantastic. Good. Beautiful. Beautiful. So one of the first things we want to do is do some leaderboard shout outs. And what's really cool, you know, what excites me about the leaderboard, Lisa, is every single week, even if somebody was joining the challenge this past week, they had the ability to hit the weekly leaderboard and basically say, I'm in it to win it, and let's make things happen. And that, I think that's super cool, right?
Able to jump right in and get on the board. Yeah, it's awesome.
That's it. So as you can see, we had a number of people sponsor one person this past week, from Arlene Lowy to Deborah Anderson. I'm not going to read all the names. Oops, I clicked the wrong button. So I got to stop playing with the mouse when I do some of the stuff. I know my mouse is super sensitive, Lisa.
Oh my gosh, mine too. That was happening the whole virtual summit. I'm like, I have to stop talking with my hands and the mouse. I get it.
Okay. All right. So we're not going to read all of the names on here, but we're going to flash them up here. So basically all of your names are in lights here tonight. All of you guys who are on the leaderboard for this past week and turning in your weekly accountability. So great job. This is our weekly, and this is in the United States. I mean, I don't have time to go through every single country. So this is just within the US. And then we also have, we have worldwide. So that's where I'm trying to include everybody. So, and I don't have all of every category, but I've got like the top group of worldwide, or else it would be so large that we might have fit it on the slide. So here is some of the top in the world from different countries. Super cool that we have the flags next to their name, so we can see who is in it to win it in all the different countries. So congratulations to all of you.
Love it.
And before we get into this, we have two special guests that we want to join us here this evening. And Lisa, I'll give you the honors to introducing one of them.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm really excited that Gina Connor is joining us tonight. So Gina is a successful unfranchised owner, but what made me think of her as a guest tonight was she's really been super consistent over the last few years, and just as of late has some great stories and testimonies with her team, reflecting the success that can come from diligently following up, and not getting emotionally attached to the result, right? Just falling in love with that process, being super consistent with it, and trusting that eventually things pop, timing changes, people's why change. And yeah, so I'm excited for her to share with you guys tonight.
Love it. Love it. And the next person, we have one other special guest who's joining us here tonight. The next special guest has been with the Unfranchise for a long time. And she is a field vice president with the company, which means she's very, 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 very successful. But most importantly, she's very successful because she is one of the masters at follow up in the ABC pattern. And so we have the amazing Jackie Velasco joining us here tonight. Jackie, where are you in Minnesota or are you in Florida?
I am in Minnesota tonight, in an empty house that is normally filled with 6 amazing people, my son and his wife and 4 grandchildren, but they're all busy wrestling or soccer. So
there you go.
Chris is in actually Tulsa, Oklahoma with his 3 girls wrestling, and I'm getting videos ongoing.
Wow.
There you go. Never a dull moment with you, Jackie. Well, this is awesome. Gina, why don't you guys take a minute? Gina and Jackie, we'll go Gina first. Gina, and just maybe share your 1-minute commercial with everybody, a little bit about, your where you're from, background really quick. And so everybody gets to know you if they don't know you.
Yeah, so thank you for having me this evening. It's a real huge honor to be here with all of you. For me, my background is in the beauty industry. I was introduced to this business by my older brother through Don Martin. And,
older brothers are good for something. Here we go.
Yes. And actually, I don't take good direction from he's my older brother. He's a lot older he's 12 years older than me. So he's always likes to tell me what to do. So it took persistence to get me to even look at the plan. But I'm thankful that he didn't give up on me. And through coaching from Don, of course, we all know Don doesn't take no for an answer. So that helped a lot too.
Right.
But yeah, so I loved the business plan when I saw it. I was in some other things. So I knew right away the difference and what made us different. I got it. But my life was crazy, and I was also running my own business, a nail technician by trade. So but retailing products made sense to me. So so for the first 10 years of this business, I actually was just a retailer. I was a product of the product. It made sense to me to share what I was excited about. And so I'll share more of that later, because it was because of the follow-up that I got from my mentors is why I'm here today and why I am a business builder at this point. So that's the importance of even following up with, those stable and leading partners too. So
Jackie Velasco, you next, please.
Okay. Well, I'm just so honored to be with you and Lisa this evening, and listening and learning as always, as I try to be on live every Wednesday night and encouraging all of my people to be on. But when I started the business, my back was really against the wall. When I started Market America, I was definitely not looking for another network marketing venture because I had failed for 2 years in 5 different companies. And I had been in direct sales with a very successful company for 25 years, was a sales manager. And so I gave up that position because we wanted to move. Now, as a sales manager with a direct sales company, I had to live within 50 miles of my sales team. And when we would move to Wisconsin, which we knew we were going to do, owning property there, thinking I would I'll find another network marketing company, right? I thought I was very naive. I thought MLMs would work for me. They do for some people, but they did not for me. And the companies I joined, unfortunately, disappeared, within a few months or 9 months or whatever. Over 2 short years, I learned what did not work. So my back was against the wall. And when I received a call from my sponsor, Fred Bienick, who never really did the business, and Tom Holden, who did, have, let's say he had persistence, because I said, no, absolutely not, 3 times. The 4th time they called me back, I said, I will look at your business and I will tell you why it won't work. And then you can be on your way. All right. So, but the compensation plan that I saw, and even more importantly, the system of training that they told me about, got my attention. And so I plugged in immediately to the system of training, bringing as many people as possible with me, trial runs, because I had no money. I was so my back against the wall. Actually, Kelly Whitehead had done my paperwork before or after I saw the plan from Julie Scholl. And so, it started a process of evaluating, and I knew the meaning of the word leverage. And so I went to every meeting I possibly could, bringing as many people as possible, and then quickly following up, and it grew very rapidly. And so I just want to continue doing what I do or did with others, because I have a moral obligation. When people say, are you going to retire someday? Why would I retire? I don't have a job. Okay.
There you go. Love it, Jackie. You are amazing. So as you guys can see on our first slide here, it shows a calendar. So the first question of the evening, and what we're going to do is a little rapid fire on some of these slides, you guys. And so I'm going to start with Lisa Martin. What do you use for a calendar? Follow up. How do you keep organized? What's your favorite tool?
I do, much like you're seeing there, a paper calendar that's color coded. So green is personal business, blue is corporate, pink is one of my daughters, orange is my son, whatever. So everything's color coded, but I also sync everything to my phone calendar because of the alerts, so that I get a pop-up that's happening, because I don't have an assistant, so that's my reminder.
Love it. Love it. And then how about you, Gina? What is your favorite tool?
I just started using a paper calendar. It's so funny because I used to make fun of my friends that use paper calendars, because I was like, oh, it's so old school. But one of my best friends in the business, Maleva, she actually just taught us about and shared with us about color coding, Lisa. And I knew that Lisa had done that too. So I have a big desk calendar because I like to be able to see things at a glance. But I do still use my electronic calendar because I have to have everything in there, because I'm scheduling. That's how I schedule clients. So I do both as well, but I do need that paper calendar because it's just, I just have to be able to see it, the big picture.
Absolutely. Love it. And Jackie.
Well, definitely a paper calendar has always worked for me. And for 26 years in the business now, and being a little more active in this year, because this is my favorite tool. The 53 challenge sheet for myself keeps
Printing
me
them off.
focused.
Yeah.
I have never, let's see, I haven't been this focused for probably 5 or 6 years, until the commitment to Dennis, my bracelet that I will never take off, because I'm dedicated to carrying on in his memory to help as many people as I possibly can. And so with the paper calendar, out of the, really using it now this year.
Using it.
Yes. Amen.
Absolutely. Love it. And for everybody listening online, throw it in the chat. what's your favorite tool you use to stay organized? We want to hear from you guys here tonight. If you guys are on Facebook, you guys can type it into the comments as well. I am fully digital. I do everything just digitally, and it syncs to my laptops and my iPad and my iPhone and everything. It's just like anytime I can save time and still stay organized, I'm a huge fan of. But sometimes I love what you guys all had to say. Paper, and you write it down, and I'm one of those note takers. When I write it down, then I remember it, but I don't really go back and look at the notes. I'm one of those weird ones, I'm like, but if I don't write it, then I kind of forget it. But if I write it down, so I get the whole paper thing still, I think a lot of people are still leaning towards that. So, all right, so let's move into this. Lisa, why don't you take this one?
Sure. So when it comes to following up, we often hear fortunes in the follow-up, right? So, but there's follow-up in many different ways because this is a lifestyle business, right? So you want to follow up with customers. And I think getting customers is natural when you're a product of the product, wearing the things, whatever. Right now we have our unfranchised marketing app. So that part I think is very easy. And we're going to talk about following up with prospects. So, when we say a prospect, that's maybe someone who is a possibility as far as becoming a business partner in the future. Of course, my daughter is actually trying to call me right now. Oh my gosh, you guys all disappeared. I don't know what happened.
No, we can see you fine. We can hear
Okay,
you.
I don't see you. I have no idea where everybody went. But anyway,
you're all great.
Then follow up with new business partners. So the prospecting portion of follow-up, like I said, is those possibilities, those conversations you may have had. And then when you partner with someone, really, that's when the work just starts, right? So it's not a time to dust yourself off and be like, all right, I can rest. No, you have to continue to follow up with those new people and make sure that you're mentoring them to success.
I love it. 100%. And the ABC pattern and duplication, you guys, is all about following what our number one objective is. And that's for new unfranchised owners and our veterans, those of us who've been doing this for a while, to lead to prospects while building our unfranchised business and creating duplication, making sure that everything that we do is duplicatable. Mm-hmm. And the number one thing to know about it is the ABC pattern is what gives us, the most control over our growth, And so when we look at success, growth, progress, timing, it takes the chance out of it. So getting people to lead us to people is really what it's all about, versus focusing on convincing somebody to get into the business, which is going to be one of our next questions. So let's talk about that, as a matter of fact. So when we look at this, you guys, and we know there's many different ways we can meet with people. You can meet with people online, or meeting with people in person again, which is hallelujah. How amazing is this? Making that happen. You can meet one-on-one, two-on-one. We can meet in a home presentation where there's 5 to 10 people in a home. A successful home presentation, just an extra guest in the room is successful. I know sometimes people think you have like 100 people in someone's home to have a successful event. I remember my first home event, and it was like my mom showed up, so that was exciting. But somebody had to show up for me. All my buddies were like, Cullen, can you just buy me a beer or a coffee and come and meet with me and tell me what's up if you're serious about this? So it's kind of a weird, weird for me. I was like, why don't you show up to my house? These guys were at least not going to show up to my house. So, but there's many different ways we're going to get into the ABC pattern and different presentation styles. So I would love to hear from you guys on what are you doing the most of, or what are you having the most success at as far as ABC pattern is concerned, and getting people to lead you to people. So yeah, Lisa, jump in first.
Okay, sorry. So getting people lead. So I loved that one-on-one connection. That's my sweet spot. So I often just in my day-to-day life, because we're busy family and we're out and about a lot. So I like to just sort of drip some concepts or create some curiosity, and then I'll book a one-on-one. And then if there's more interest from the one-on-one, then often, we'll have a more formal business presentation, of course, but it's really home to home. I mean, that's my favorite place to meet. Like we might do a rapport meeting at a coffee shop, but otherwise I just like right now, there's actually someone over that we met at a networking event. We showed him the plan a couple days later, and then he brought his wife and daughter over just now. So they're in my kitchen right now. So it's just, just creating that relationship one-on-one with people. And then once you earn a little bit of that trust, then they'll introduce you to some people and so on and so forth. So did I answer your question?
No, yeah, you nailed it. You nailed it. And so let's jump to, I'm going to shake it up. Jackie, let's go to you first on this one. So in regards to follow-up and your background, I mean, 20 plus years in direct sales and knowing the fortune is in the follow-up. So what's your most favorite way to follow up and engage people?
Well, to engage people, today is different than 26 years ago for myself. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I had a network that wouldn't end 26 years ago. And honestly, I probably only approached maybe 100 of those people in the beginning. And I believe like 20 of them did come in the business within 6 months. And so that was a very rapid beginning. But then it was all about—
Okay, real quick. Okay,
Yes.
so you said something. So 20 of your network joined you in the beginning.
Right.
And someone's listening to you say that and say, how did she get 20 people to want to join her team? So what do you think? And your best tip to people that just heard you say that, why did 20 people want to follow you?
Keep it simple and leverage. Where's that? My L. Keep it so simple that it's all about that person you're talking to. And asking questions. You see, building that relationship that, simply if you could change anything in your life right now, or, I know you're looking to change your current financial situation right now. And so, knowing that every person has 3 questions in mind. Can I trust this person? Could they trust me? Because I was talking to him.
Right.
And I wanted to get them in front of someone as quickly as possible that knew what they were doing. And so I used JR, of course, in a video. Now this man, push play. And I would only let them listen to him for 10 minutes.
Okay.
And then I would say, take notes. But if nothing else, just observe his passion. Because we're going to stop the video and then I'm going to take you to a business presentation where people are really making money with this. And I want you to meet as many people as possible that are serious about building. And you may or may not be interested, and either way, it's okay. But maybe you can refer me to someone because I'm very serious. And actually, I'm quite desperate. And I told him that to build an income.
You did not. Did you say I'm desperate?
To build an income, yes.
Oh, to rock it out. Okay, all right, okay.
Maybe
right.
I
love how transparent Jackie can be sometimes, but you can hear the passion in your voice. Okay,
serious.
Okay. Right, very serious.
And I would really like for you to be my first, right along beside me. And so, I'm going to dedicate myself to you making income because I know if you do, I will.
Right.
And with this presentation and all of these people, you see, then they started to trust, because the second question then that everybody has, I believe, do the products work? And will I have someone that will use the products, take the products? And I know nothing about the products. I wasn't a product of the product at all. And so what was I selling? I was selling belief. And when I heard JR say that, you're selling belief, I thought, I'm all over this.
Well, you were selling the product of financial flexibility.
Totally.
So often people try to compartmentalize like OPC3 or, the Motives Custom Blend, and then a financial product. And it's like, they're all products. It just depends what people are looking for. Right.
And do those products work? So, back in the day, and so learn from this, I think, testimonies as quickly as possible, especially when you've got a prospect that is interested in building income right now. You've got to introduce them to people that are having results with products, testimonies. And so back in the day, we'd have testimonies come up in front of the room rather than people making money, because there wasn't all that many making money 26 years ago. And many, many, many people though loved OBC. And so that started a process.
Okay. And then the third one, really quick, you got to hit the third, you said,
how can I do this?
things.
Because I'm too busy. I'm way too
Okay.
busy to do anything more. I'm using all of my time, 168 hours of the week. How? And then
Right.
you sit down with someone and you say, well, if you really want change, let's analyze your week and where you could fit in 4, 5, 6 hours with me. Systemize.
That's it. Customize. I love it. I love it. And then you just bring up different people. You're like, look at Lisa Martin, Cullen Haskins. They have a litter of kids. They found time. They just make it happen. So this is the way we make. All right, beautiful. Okay,
based on what
Gina,
they want. Yes.
That's right. It's all about the person. I love it. Okay, so Gina, same question for you.
Yeah, and I love that Jackie said that too, because a lot of times when people say that they're too busy, to me, that's more of a reason why they need this. Like if you don't have time, because that was my biggest why, is I wanted my time back. Because, right, so when people say that, they're really not, they're giving us they think they're giving us an excuse, but really they're giving us a reason. So then you can kind of use that to help them to understand that this will give them that time freedom. But for me, I love rapport meetings. I do a lot of reconnecting with people. I didn't say earlier, you told me, Cullen, but to say where I was from, but I'm originally from the Philadelphia area, but I've been in Virginia Beach area for well over 25 years now. So just because of the industry that I'm in, I've established a lot of relationships over the years. So I love doing a rapport meeting, like Lisa said, and I love using collaborations too. Like if they have a business, how can we work together? Let's get back together. I'll share with you what I'm doing.
I love
because
that.
I really think that we can work together. So it's not necessarily about like whether the business would be right for them necessarily, but I put it as let's see if we can work together and do some type of collaboration. And then at least we'll know what we're looking for, what our goals are. We can refer business to each other that way.
That's so amazing. I love that approach as well. It's you're creating a win-win situation for both sides, because everybody's always tuning in to WWIFM, and that is what's in it for me, and that's what they're always thinking. And so therefore we have to say, I know you do this, I do this. And I think together we can collaborate, right? I love, Gina, that's amazing. And I think all of us probably do that. So I'm glad you brought that up. That's really what it's all about as we, build a successful business and make things happen. So let's bring up the PowerPoint again. I like the closing that down while we're rolling. So as you guys know, in the ABC pattern, and as we continue to follow up with people, it's within the business, especially, it's all about the no decision close, getting people to lead us to people and doing a trial run. Now, one thing I've noticed with some people is that when they get into this trial run thing, and so they share the business with somebody, the person's excited and they're like, hey, this is what we're looking for. You may know the right person. Person says, yeah, I'm really thinking of some people. And then someone turns to somebody and they say, Jackie, do you want to take it on a trial run? And it's like, the person's like, ooh, I don't know. I mean, that's a hard decision. So what's fascinating is sometimes I think from stage and how we're training and we're teaching people how to do things, some of us can take things so literally in what is being coached, as if, even though we say it's a trial run, that's like the coach hat. Like I'm like, okay, it's a trial run, but it's not something I necessarily say to the person, say, would you like to, as if there's like a lot of pressure on the whole situation. Right, Jackie? You don't,
Oh, that's so
I mean, do you
true.
ask people, would you like to take a trial? Or you just say, hey, who do you know? And start leading me to the people, right?
Exactly. Who do you know that, who can you think of that you would like to share what you've just seen and get another person's opinion, perhaps? And so, again, that's what I'm loving about part one, part two, because it's just a natural segue into people they know. Who can you think of? Who are you thinking of right now? I want you to attend. We have a perfect example right now of the ABC pattern just working perfectly down in Naples. I have my 53 beep team, and we did a part one before I left Naples with a young gal, very personable, very outgoing, and had just sold my business partner an RV. And she really wanted to evaluate the business. So we did the part one. That led to someone that she knows. So we have Victoria and Chris now evaluating. And then they saw part two, the plan. And then they came to the UBP online, nothing in person, of course. And they loved it. Last week, I forget who was presenting, whatever, Tuesday night. Oh, Jim Winkler. No, Alessandra. Yes. And they were so excited about, wow. And so then Monday night was the Wellness 101 with Steve Rodriguez, and they got the trial samples in between. So they were sampling product, coming to the Wellness 101 online with Steve, shop live. Woo! Excited about now sharing it with more people, loving the energy they're getting from the daily essentials and our quick follow-up with them. And now last night with Big Al and Fat Joe, you see, it's like, whoa, this is too good.
I love it.
One
I
to
love
the
it.
next to the next, and it's all leverage. And now they're thinking of more people because now we're scheduling their part ones with people they know, right?
There
And
you go.
it's a beautiful process, so exciting. So hats off to Juliet. I wanted to mention her name, and Shelley and
Perfect.
Peggy and the Naples team.
I love it. Well, it's awesome because what we give energy to expands.
Yeah.
And again, sometimes people take things so literally. So what Jackie said there is like, hey, I would love to get other people's opinion of it. And then somebody else takes that to the next level. And all of a sudden it's just like, they're not getting the same results Jackie's just sharing. But then one of us goes on an appointment with the person. They're like, I would love to get your opinion, and you shoot some bullet holes in this thing and find stuff wrong with it. And then guess what they do? Exactly that, because you told them to find stuff wrong. Like, nothing wrong, but you're planting negative seeds with people. So be careful the seeds that we're planting and what seeds you want to harvest, right? You agree with that, Lisa? Gina, when you guys want to jump in, would love to get some more feedback on you guys. I know you guys have some great ABC things going on. And Gina, I know you've been, yeah, so go ahead, you guys.
I think the biggest thing when you show somebody the plant, for me, from my experience, is getting people out of that mentality of thinking, who do they think would join them in this business? Who's going to partner with me? Who would actually do this with me? And where you really have to explain to them that it's not about who would do this business with you. We just want to get a couple of people that you trust, because when people see it for the first time, like I was very excited when I saw this the first time, and some people are, but they're not ready to get started, right? There's so much for them to learn. And I agree with you, Cullen, where I don't use the word trial run. I just take them through the trial run and they don't even realize they're in it.
Yes.
So like Jackie said, just keeping them plugged in is the biggest thing. And so scheduling that next plan showing and helping them understand the evaluation approach and saying, look, I was introduced to this business. It's something that I think I really want to do, but I'm still trying to understand it. And I really need your help in looking at it with me, because you may see some things that I didn't. Maybe you'll have some questions that I didn't think of. And this is a really important decision for me. And I really need your help in looking at it. And so who are those people that you think of that you trust to bring to give their opinion on what you're about to do, because this is something you want to do. So then that way it breaks down those walls. So they're not going to people saying, oh, I saw something amazing and you need to see it because you got to do it too. Like nobody's going to do that. That's,
Right.
you know, it's just teaching them that.
Oh, did she freeze on you guys too?
She froze.
Well, one thing I want to echo with what she's saying is think about people that you trust, but also that you admire, right? Like we're not looking for your negative Nancy neighbor or your Uncle Larry, who's just like been like, you know, full of himself his whole life and never really amounted to anything. I think when I'm showing the plan, I'll actually kind of make it real for them at that time. I'll say like, you know, when we get to the activate section, I'll say, just humor me here. Okay. Like if you had to open a traditional business, like not talking about what we're talking about tonight, but just in general, like who has a strong work ethic, who's well-connected, who has a big network, who like has a heart to help, who runs an NPO, right? And it's almost like a name jogger at that time. And I'm not saying they're going to be interested or anything. We're just play along with me. Right. And then I put those names in there when we continue to show the plan. And then at the end, you know, when you're asking them to lead to people to evaluate, like Jean is saying, I do a lot of the same, obviously, when you're in the same organization, you kind of duplicate each other, right? But I just think that's so important. You know, you want to really, this is a business and you're not desperate. People need you more than you need them. And I don't want someone's opinion who's never done anything significant in their life. Do you know what I mean? Like my sister gives me a hard time about listening to self-development audios. She's like, wow, who are they? Just like a motivational speaker? Like I've never, you know, shown her the plan. She's a good customer, but she doesn't qualify. I don't want to be in business with her. Do you know what I mean? So we're not desperate here. You might be desperate with your plan and your goals, because I feel that, Jackie. Like when I met Don, we were desperate to make more money, but I was still qualifying and treating this like $1 million business, right?
And I think
that's
that
so great.
Jackie's point too, just to say, like, if I don't know, I was following her, but what everybody needs to understand is like when Jackie's saying she's plugging people in, and it's like it's daily, right? We're not waiting a week after we show the plan for them to bring people back. Like it, right, Jackie? It's like within 24 to 48 hours, you're getting them plugged into something, and you're having them bring people to plug into something.
Well, people want to be in business with people who make stuff happen, right? So if you're like, oh, let's try to sync our schedules for next week or the week, like, no, it just fizzles, you know? So it has to be quick like that, but it can be casual. Like I'm going to call you and follow up with the daily essentials, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. You know, I think ultimately all of you guys are nailing it. You know, you can't control how fast somebody is going to go, other than it's our job to lead it to go as fast as it can go. Because we all know if we get them success, they're going to want to do the business, or they're no matter what going to be a customer because it's free and they're going to want cash back. So ultimately Trin and I always like to say we're operating against the fear clock for people, and urgency is the key. So if you have urgency and you're moving it along quickly, then you're going to find out very quickly if that person has influence, if that person has great connections, if that person has built bridges in their past, or if they've burned a lot of bridges in their past. You find out very quickly if like everybody the person's contacting is canceling or won't meet with them. And you're kind of thinking, what, is there something about your past I should know? Because I mean, this isn't normal here. And it's just like, oh, well, I went to jail when I was 18 and, you know, I made some bad choices. And I'm like, and now we're approaching those same people. All right, well, you're making it really challenging on me. I'm just saying, you know, so these are all things that, you know, come into play ultimately as we're trying to move through the ABC pattern the fastest. But just remember this, it never unfolds perfectly, but it's all about identifying who's ready to go now and who may go later. And I know we have a story on that, so we're going to hit that in a minute. And I think that was Gina, but we're always moving people forward in the process. And ultimately, as we all know from JR, if you book the follow-up, then you're going to get into the ABC pattern. But if you don't book a follow-up, then we know we basically failed. So showing the business or getting into the ABC pattern, and I want you to listen very closely on this. It's a pass or a fail grade. That's all it is. You either passed or you failed. It's one or the other. There is no like, well, I think I got a C on it. It's like, well, no, there is no C. It's like you either passed and we got it rolling forward, or we failed and we didn't move the ball forward. And I think that's the real key as we duplicate from the bottom and light the fire from the bottom, always getting people to lead us to people. It's the most incredible thing about our business system is the most experienced people have a vested interest in helping all of the brand new people. And most cases are the guests. And we're trying to drive this thing faster forward. But Gina, if I remember correctly, it took you a little time. It was like the follow-up and then the follow-up and then more follow-up. And
God bless Don and Lisa, the most patient people on the planet. No, but and the most caring. And that was the thing, is like they always met me where I was. They loved on me. And just always calling, checking in on me. How are you doing? And just really being there. And, Lisa is just, there's something about Lisa that just makes you want to tell her all your problems. So like, eventually I had some pain points that I started sharing. So then she would lovingly say, well, why don't you, start plugging into this? Or I think this, so it was really, for me, it was events. Like, thank God that this business has the event. I mean, seriously, like if we didn't have these events, I wouldn't be here, because wait
a minute. I mean, you're talking about the global meeting training seminar system right now. I'm just making sure everybody's crystal clear, Gina, on what you're saying, right? Because I'm getting excited, so. Anyway,
yes, I am the GMTSS. Yes. So that was really, that they always encouraged me to plug into the events. And so really that's when I fell in love with the process and the system, right? Because I was already using the product. I love the product. It was very easy for me to share what I love, so people were buying product. But it was, and I understood, even though I understood how the business plan was different and it was great and exciting, it wasn't until, JR on stage talking about time, right? He really hits you in the heart with that. And it's so genuine and so true. And so that's where my magic moment happened, was at International Convention, where I had that moment that JR talks about, that billionth of a volt, that I just, at that moment in my core, I knew what I needed to do. And I made a decision, and I've never gone back. And I can't imagine ever going back. And it's a real thing. And it's funny how you listen to that for years and you understand it. It makes sense. It's science, right? So he breaks it down that way. But until you experience that, you just like, it gives me chills still till this day. So for me, I would never want to, I don't want to rob somebody of that magic moment for them, right?
Oh, so
that's the obligation that I have now, that even though it might be scary and you don't want to be rejected, like nobody likes that feeling. I rejected my brother so many times. But I know what that feels like. And now, because Don and Lisa were so just always there, like treated me exactly the same as everybody else. It didn't matter if I was, building the business or not. They were always there. They always followed up. I always knew they cared. And the moment that I came to Don and said, I'm ready to go, he literally was in Virginia and said, okay, let's go. He came here.
Right.
And said, I'll build with you if you're ready to go. Like, and it's like, and so it's that type of dedication and commitment to people and caring about them and really truly being of service and having that servant's heart And that's what makes all the difference. It really makes all the difference. And so that's my mission now. I can't sleep at night knowing that there's people out there that need that magic moment for them and their lives. So I will continue no matter how hard it gets. And I'll take the rejection, and it's okay, because I know eventually people will come around. It's just timing.
I love it. And so Lisa, anything to add to any of this on, as far as Gina or ABC pattern
I think just some nuggets are, meet people where they're at. I lead with product, Dom leads with business, right? So everyone has their own style, but to me, and we hear that 80% of unfranchised owners are stable and waiting and they like the product. So don't discount those people, just follow up, love them, invite them to the events because they're part of the community. And when timing changes, it'll change like it did for Gina, and really made a decision to go, take her business seriously. I don't know if you want us to roll into this story now, Cullen, or later about.
Go ahead, roll.
Yeah. So, when we were thinking about follow-up, Gina came to mind because of one of her partners. So maybe Gina, you can elaborate on the story, but how, one of your best friends, Tori, she's always supported you, evaluated the plan, has not partnered, but her mother-in-law did. And then she led to her nephew and her nephew. So maybe share that progression and that follow-up story.
Yeah, that was amazing. That just happened a couple of weeks ago where, so my Mama, we call her lovingly Mama Leslie. Everybody knows her in the business as Mama Leslie, and I know she's watching. Her nephew, he's been on and off with the business as well, building, but he is a great people connector, and he led us to a friend of his, and we showed him the plan 2 years ago. And so, and he didn't partner at that time, but he was willing to support Larry and buy product from him. So he's been on the product. So he loves the product. So Larry just continued to follow up with him, right? So because there's always a reason to follow up with somebody. They should be on the product at the very least, right? So you want to keep following up as a customer. Well, his timing has changed now. So here we are 2 years later, and he came back to see the plan again, because now he has a why, right? And that's the biggest thing. And so, and so he said, so I was waiting to see if you were going to be able to pull through. And he said, I just really honestly didn't think it would happen.
To which you replied, excuse me, I am Gina. Like, what do you mean you were doubting me? Like, I mean, oh, come on.
Better than ever before. Well,
but and he said, but here you still are. And he said that he was like, he said, all the skepticism, this is exactly what he said. All the skepticism that I had about this company 2 years ago is completely gone. And so he's like, he's ready to go, and he's committed to international convention. Like, he's all in. And so the lesson to this is that Larry continued to follow up with it. Like, he never gave up. He serviced him as a customer,
and he didn't give up on himself. I think that's important too, because man, like, I was partnered 6 years before I even showed the plan to anyone and had any partners, right? So just hang on and remember why you're in the business. And when Larry, Larry's new partner? Eric. So one thing I want to point out as you go through the ABC pattern with Eric is knowing someone's why is so important, because when you start to go through those trial runs, or when you start to show the plan, and you'll get no's, that's part of the process, you sometimes have to circle back to that and say, because they might be like, oh gosh, whatever, screw it, forget it. I thought this would be easier, right? So then you have to go back to that pain point and say, Eric, listen, like, I've been around, I know what I'm doing. It takes some time. It's okay. Dust yourself off. Don't get emotionally attached to the result. Let's just keep falling in love with this process, because your son is worth it. So did that change? And then let him say, no. All right, well, let's get back at it, but I think people lose that when they partner with people. They're not figuring out what people's why is. And then you can't use that pain point. And if they say when they partner, like I have many people that partner and say, listen, my life is insane right now. I'm really not interested in the business, but I gave you all these referrals. So I want to make some extra money with customers. I want a discount on the product. Cool. But I'll follow up like I did with Gina year after year, like, hey, you're sounding a little frustrated with your situation. Do you want to start to take the business more seriously? Just checking in and let them decide, right? But I think meeting people where they're at is so important.
I 100% agree. I think you guys nailed it on that. So we're coming in for a landing here. And I do have a question though for Jackie Belasco. I would love, Jackie, one of my favorite quotes of all time. I want you to share, Jackie, you know my favorite one. Okay, so you can share my favorite quote, but then also I want you to talk really quick to those people, because we all know that we have some amazing people on our teams across the world who get fixated on that one person. And if it's just a one person, Jackie, has so much potential. And I'm just going to keep waiting on this one person that will change my business forever. Instead of just saying, there's so many people, we have to find the people that are ready to go now. That person is ready to go later. We will come back to them. But you get my point here. So often people are and we all have these people, they call us and want to talk about the same person for the 1,000th time. And it's like, I love you, but everybody has potential, right, Jackie? I mean, come on.
Just happened last night at our UBP. Again, just everything is just deja vu. Nothing changes in this world because people are always the same. And this is a business of personal growth. Mm-hmm. It is. But here's the quote. When you work for who and what you believe in, and you know the reason why, you will be rich, though the way may be rough. But if you only work for money, will you ever make enough? You see, now, break it apart. Who do you work for? I work for him. I work for the Lord. And therefore, people.
Servant heart.
Serving, blessing and serving others. But I know why, you see. I know exactly why. I know what I'm working for. I've got my goals all laid out. And why? Why do I have the goals? You see, again, to give more, be more, do more. And then no matter what, I'm rich because I'm helping others, I'm serving others, I'm blessing others every day. And this business offers the perfect vehicle to truly make that true. And I watch all of you and it just warms my heart, and I can't get enough of it, of hearing from you, Lisa, because you are so excellent at what you do. Cullen, so excellent at what you do. Melanie, Dr. Tamara, Dr. Deidre. I am so in love with Shop Live right now.
Come on.
Using that as a tool to get.
Speaking on that, follow up in the ABC pattern, use Pulse. Pulse is a machine. Okay, Jackie, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, but Shop Live is an opportunity to go to all of your existing UFOs, to have some one-on-one with them. So every one of my stable and waiting who say they want this business to work for them right now, and they want to go now, I'm going to them and treating them just like a new prospect. I want you to get on this Shop Live. I want you to get on this Zoom presentation. I want you to think of two people that we can bless and serve that, would make a difference for them right now, because everybody wears two signs, right? Make me feel important, MMFI, and WIIFM, what's in it for me. So how many people can we serve and bless today? Let's look at our list. Plan a Shop Live and do everything you can to get one or two guests so that you can be live with Dr. Deidre, Dr. Tamara, any of the professional presenters.
And
Right?
you know what else? Yeah, Jackie, I love what you're saying there, because with Shop Live, it's just like any one of us back in the day showing the plan on a piece of paper. There was no PowerPoint. There was nothing. I mean, we didn't have all of these tools. Okay. So it's not about perfect, but it is about progress, and it is about taking action. People want to follow
100%.
people who take an action. So even you going, everybody, everyone that's watching us here tonight, you guys getting with your existing customers and saying, jump on, let me show you what I'm learning. Some are going to like watch that and say, oh my gosh, this is what I mean, I love this technology. I want to learn more about the business. Some are just going to want to buy more products because they love the technology. Again, they're going to lead you to more people. It's what JR keeps referring to as a conversation starter. For those of you taking notes, that tool in our toolbox is a conversation starter that will lead into the ABC pattern of more customers and ABC pattern of more unfranchised owners in order to build a successful organization. So, all right,
I have to just applaud the presenters on Shop Live. I had a customer, she's been a customer and a friend for 40 years, right? She's purchased Allo OPC. Dr. Deidre did the digestive training, and it was perfect for her. I followed up after the presentation, and she ordered every single product that Dr. Deidre shared.
Wow.
And
come on,
you know, and she's getting results. So, you know, get back to people, circle back, circle around. You never give up on anyone. And it's all about the belief, enthusiasm, effort, and persistence. Never, 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 never give up.
never give up. And always light a fire in the basement, which is with
At the bottom.
people who are leading to people. That's the ABC pattern, you guys, is getting people to lead us to people. Next week, week 13, we're talking growing leadership. And I know each one of us are always continuing to grow as a leader so we can lead our organizations better. So you're going to want to tune in next week, Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Final thoughts, Lisa? Oh, she muted. She's like,
Sorry,
I'm closing it out.
Oh man, I just dropped the ball on that one. Final thoughts, final thoughts. Just start. It's never too late. The past doesn't equal the future, right? So give yourself some grace, plug in. Like Jackie said, there's so much going on. If you're not plugging in, you're missing the boat. So invite some people, have fun with it. And it's a lifestyle.
All right. Thank you guys for joining us here tonight, and do something positive for your business. Rock it out. And we look forward to seeing each and every one of you on the leaderboard in the weeks to come. You guys got this. All right, guys.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Good night.